If you're going to invest that time, you're going to invest it in places that are free.
What happens when you start to see the finish line, you start to get anxious and lose patience, and that drains your other resource, which is your energy.
If you go away from the thing that's working, okay, you don't know if the new thing will work.
If you don't know what you expect out of it, and you're not sure it aligns with your vision, and you're not sure why you're doing it, then maybe you shouldn't do it.
I feel like I'm in a rush today, Tommy. Every boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, we're back to back to back, but hey, that's productive, man. That's the way it's supposed to be. We are productive. We don't use those bullshit words like busy.
I didn't say busy. I said hectic.
I know. No hectic, no busy, no chaos.
I like it.
It's all about productivity, man.
All right, here we go. Another Q&A session with some of our members from Project 2740, amazing business owners who are really trying to take control of their lives, their businesses, build the foundation, allow themselves to have the opportunity to live up to the potential they all already know is deep down inside of them. So today's guests, we have Tommy and Carson. So Tommy, why don't you introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and where people can find you?
My name's Tommy Isernia. I'm the founder of Soul Secure. It's a startup company that protects cleats. It's a slip-on cover for athletics footwear that protects the bottom of the cleats, allows athletes to gain access indoors into their houses and cars without tracking dirt places, allows them to gain traction on those slippery flooring. Here for the long run.
Where do they find you, pal?
They can find me at soulsecure.usa on Instagram and LinkedIn, Thomas Isernia.
Great. We'll have them put that in the show notes. And Carson, we got a return guest. What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Adam?
Good, good. So tell them who you are, what you do, and where they can find you.
My name is Carson Hoffman, and I help people run and create memorable advertisements through Meta. And you can find me at Carson B. Hoffman on any platform, but I'm most active on LinkedIn.
I just want to make a comment. Shell is making a comment from the audience saying how awesome Tommy's intro was. I felt like I was on the freaking Hallmark Channel with the product placement.
It was perfect.
Like, right? It was perfect, man. You put the product right in the middle. I love it. This is awesome, Tommy. I love it. I love seeing it. I love the red color. That's a new color, right? That's a new prototype.
Not new, but it's one of the several colors that we have.
New to us. We've only seen it.
Love it.
Keep this thing at all times.
I like it. Yeah. That's hot, man.
Thanks, Christy. Christy's saying Carson's a little low. That all gets worked out on the back end with our engineers. So for this, we're just going to have to be what it is. All right, Tom, who's up first for the questions?
All right. Well, we have Tommy as the first time guest, so we'll let him go first because Carson's been here before. He's had that experience. So let's give Tommy a shot. So Tommy, what's your question for us?
So I wrote down, how can I prioritize marketing channels to maximize traction with limited resources?
How you prioritize marketing channels so you can maximize your resources, yes?
Social media and all of that.
Okay, good. When you're a startup company, one of the best things you have to understand is what resources you have, right? So first, you're going to have to lay those resources out. Here's what I have. And you have two resources, okay? Those two resources are both time and money, okay? And right now, as a startup business, you have more time than you have money. So you're able to invest time. That is a resource you can invest. Now, if you're going to invest that time, you're going to invest it in places that are free. Okay, so free are going out in the public and introducing yourself and saying, hi, I'm Tommy. Free is using social media and creating content and going in there and doing that. Free is communicating with people in any form you can, email, phone, text message, in person, through comments on social media, DMs. So you're always going to have to start with the things that you have the most resource for. Now, what happens is as you start to become successful, you have less time, but you'll have more. Guess what, Tommy? Money. And then you deploy that resource. And then what happens is you use so much of your money, okay, because you hire staff and employees and everything else. And what are you buying? Time. And then you can go back and use that free resource again. So as you're building a business, you're constantly going to ebb and flow through which resource am I using? My time or my money? And am I using my money to buy other people's times or ads or other things? And am I using my time to go and develop huge relationships with, let's say, Dick's Sporting Goods to put your stuff in? Or am I generating that on a small scale to have one person buy one product? You have to know what you're capable of actually doing so you can go out there and do it. So first, what you're going to do is start with that. How much of each of those resources do you have? And then where can you go and deploy them? There is no perfect place.
Gotcha.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right. Now, why are you concerned about that?
I think it's super important to properly set yourself up, especially being in the product space instead of just a service-based industry. Being a product-based industry, it involves a lot of upfront money before you make actual sales. And I also want to just kind of set myself up for success right from day one, from the second I'm either collecting pre-orders or selling the product itself.
Okay. So, Tom, what behaviors are coming up then with that?
There's a few sabotaging behaviors there. There's really, I think, are you trying, what's more important to you right now, the destination or the journey?
I think the destination in terms of just getting the product itself to market, but the journey is something that I do try to enjoy and take in every day.
Yeah, I think you just got to watch the hyperachiever, right? Because you're starting, there's this current anxiety to get the product done. You've been working on this for a long time, right? And you can see the finish line. And what happens when you start to see the finish line, you start to get anxious and lose patience, and that drains your other resource, which is your energy, right? So you got to make sure you're conserving your energy. But at the same time, you got to give yourself the opportunity to really just focus on, I'm doing this journey. This is where I'm at. I have to be flexible in this journey because it's all going to be worth it as long as I get to that end result that I've been looking for. But if you focus just on the end result, what's going to happen is you're going to lose patience. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to create additional stress. And all of those things are going to start to take over. And then you're going to lose your most valuable resource, which is your energy.
Gotcha. Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome. All right, Carson, you're up, man.
Going back to, I think like 2 weeks ago, Adam, we were talking about getting people to say yes more on sales calls. And I wanted to ask you, like, how/what questions can I ask people before or while we're going through the process of a sales call to probe more yeses for qualified prospects to buy at the end?
Okay. So if you want to get someone to say yes, you can't ask a question without knowing they'll say yes. So that's the first key. I think it's in the show the movie Boiler Room. Ben Affleck's playing like this guy. This is from Dun and Bradstreet, back when, the Wolf of Wall Street did those things, and it's kind of based a little bit on that. So one of the things he used to tell his sales guys is get them to say yes. And the reason he would say the way he would say, I don't care what you do. Ask him this question. If you're drowning and I threw you a life preserver, Carson, would you grab it?
Absolutely.
Yes. So pick up 100 chairs. Let's get started with this. And that was his cheesy way of doing that. Now, I don't want you asking stupid questions like that. Okay. That was for illustrative and emotional effect and sensationalizing the point. But what the point is you have to start asking people questions that they can agree with. It doesn't necessarily have to be a yes, but they can agree with. And that could be something like, hey, if we were able to take your ads, put them in a way that is more memorable, that could bring you more leads, is that something that you would want to talk further about?
Yes.
They're not going to say no. That's why they're on the call. So that's the thing, is you're getting them to start to agree to, okay, this is what we do. So if we found a way to take your ads and maximize the dollars that you're spending on, would that be an ideal situation for you and your company?
Yes.
Yeah. So you see, that's how you get them to say yes. You're going to use the information that they give you against them to help them. So as they start telling you stuff, you're going to know what they would then say yes to. Okay. So let's say they said, the reason I'm talking to you on this call today is I've been running ads for a year. I'm really not happy with the results that I'm getting. Okay. So what you could say is, we're going on through the conversation, and let me get this right. As you said before, so you're currently unhappy with the ads you're running, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, right. See, so that's what we're doing. We're getting them to see that you align. The purpose of getting them to say yes is so they understand, we are starting to align on this conversation. So if we work together, we'd probably be in alignment. And that's what people really want. They want to have this trust that, we're on the same page and we're going to go down this path together. Not you're going to veer off to the left or the right. And that's what the alignment is. Because if you don't agree on where we're going, they get confused. They get skeptical. They have to go do more research. They got to ask somebody about it. They got to check their budget. But when you're in alignment, they're like, no, this makes sense because what we're saying, we agree. Okay, so that is the intention behind it, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank
Cool.
you.
Why is this coming up? That are you getting a lot of no's, or are you struggling getting yeses? What is the reason that your question came up?
Honestly, it's just to improve my sales skills ability, especially when I'm talking to qualified prospects. I want to make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward to get them to say yes.
Okay, so do you believe currently you don't have the ability to put your best foot forward?
No, I think I do.
Okay.
I think it's just a matter of gaining more knowledge and being able to do this at a higher level.
Why do you feel you need? Go ahead, Tom.
I feel an imposter walking in the room. That's imposter syndrome, my friend. You're starting to doubt a little bit. You're not selling me on it, Carson. You're not selling me on the confidence that you have to get the yes, to put your best foot forward. So what are you starting to doubt? Or what's making you feel like you're not believing it?
I think getting the right people on the call and asking the right questions.
All right, so you're trying to create a double thing here. Getting the right people and asking the right questions. Focus on one. What would be the one to focus on?
Ask the right questions.
There you go. As long as you're asking the right questions, you're going to know whether or not they're the right people or not. And you're going to identify, if you ask the right questions in the first 3 questions, you're going to know whether or not they're good for you or not.
Well, Tom, tell him why don't we share the story? We had a meeting today with a potential one-on-one client. So why don't you share that story a little bit?
Well, the one earlier today, right?
Yeah, the prospect that we met with for one-on-one coaching.
He's all over the place, okay? He has so many different things happening, and he cannot get what he is trying to accomplish, okay? He's trying to do everything, and I asked him a question, or who asked the question? I can't remember.
Yeah, well, the point is that we went back and forth with questions. So it was scheduled for a half an hour. We probably spent about 40 minutes on this call. And the reason we spent this time on the call, Carson, is because we had to keep asking him a different question, and we were getting all the wrong answers. Okay, so then we had to ask another question or another question or another. And by the time we got to the end of the call, we told him he's not a good fit for us. Okay, he wanted to work with us, and he could have found the money to work with us, and he could have went through, but we felt he could not work with us because he was the wrong person. But we wouldn't have known that. And if he would have said, "Hey, I want to hire you," and we just collected this thing, we probably could have did it. And then 2 months would have went by, and we'd be like, "This isn't working." Either they would have been like, "This isn't working," or we would have said, "Hey," they just didn't have what it took to work with Tom and I. Okay, there were some other things they had to do before they could come work with us.
And that was also the reason we could ask the right questions, is because we know what our products are. Okay, we know what our service is. And we were trying to understand which service would have been better for him. And the thing is that the more questions we asked, the more we identified he's not inside either of our main products and services. He's in that middle zone. And when they're in that middle zone, you take that risk sometimes where if you accommodated him and because you knew you can help him, but now you're giving into what he needs rather than what you do. And then that client becomes maybe a slight headache today, but could be a friggin' migraine tomorrow. And you have to be able to identify that in the questions that you ask. And that's what we were able to do. I mean, we were on the phone with this guy for a long time, trying to see if any of the questions that we asked were the right answers. And when we didn't find them, we just said, this is not going to be a good fit. And that's really, especially what you do, Carson, as an ads person and creating the right ads, you have to know that you could work with the people you're creating the ads for. You have to know your product good enough to say, you know what? I can work with this person, but let me ask them these questions to see if they answer them correctly. Because there is a quote unquote right answer to your right question.
All right, Tom, where are we taking this next? Are we going to take one from the studio audience?
We only have like 2 questions on school, so I had Hunter clarify his question. So let's go to Hunter's question.
Well, I think he put it up on the screen since he put it up in here. You know how to do that?
I don't. Do you?
Let's see. He has 2 things though. Hold on. Let's see this one. Let's see if I can show it. All right, there.
All right. So I'm working on creating a digital art content course and wanted advice. So what's the one piece of advice you wish you had when starting your Project 27? Mine would be pre-recorded, separate, and the same time as being an artist, just another part of being an artist. Okay. All right, so Hunter's asking, he wants to create a course. What do you want to teach people in that course, Hunter?
Well, he's asking what would be here. Let me see if I can I put this back on there? But he's asking, here we go, put it back up here. What's the one piece of advice you wish you had when starting your Project 2740? Okay, so Hunter, the one piece of advice I gave to myself, I didn't have to wish because I was my own coach, was that if I'm going to do this, number one, I'm going to do this. Okay. This is what I'm going to do. And I know exactly who I'm going to do it with. So the first time I did a cohort, instead of doing, because I did Project 2740 one-on-one with people, but when I did a cohort, which is what you're talking about, kind of, I actually hand selected 13 people. I called each one of them individually and said, this is what I'm doing. So I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And that's the best piece of advice I can give you is, do you know exactly what you want to do? And can you find the people that you think belong there, not are willing to be there, that belong there? Now, I'm going to sidebar. If you're listening to this, my friend, I saw you try to qualify this. Separate and the same time as being an artist, just another part of being an artist. No, this is not being an artist. Okay, this is being an instructor. A digital art content course is being an educator, a course creator, a teacher, a coach. That is not being an artist. What you are doing is educating, teaching on art. They are two different things, my friend. So what you're going to have to really do is understand, are you looking for an additional revenue stream or are you trying to be an artist? Okay, so that, I know you're not here live, is something you're going to have to think about.
And Hunter, I'm going to jump in and say, we just worked with one of our clients and we were teaching them how to really understand intention and how to put intention into the decisions that you make. And I'm going to give you 4 questions that I want you to ask yourself before you decide to do this. Number 1, why are you doing this? Okay. What is the reason that you have to do this course creation, etc.? 2, how does it align with what you're trying to do? Okay. How does it align with your vision? Okay. What's the outcome that you expect from it? So if you don't know what you expect out of it and you're not sure it aligns with your vision and you're not sure why you're doing it, then maybe you shouldn't do it. And the other thing is if you understand why you're doing it, what outcome you expect, and then exactly that it does align with your vision, you have to ask yourself, if this doesn't work the way I expect it, how will I change my course of action? What will be the resolution or the solution to that problem? And you have to ask yourself those 4 questions to put some intention behind the decision that you're making.
We have another question from Shell. These questions are long, so I'm gonna try to put this show on the stream for 20 seconds, and I don't even know if it shows the whole thing. It doesn't show the whole thing, does it? All right, I'm going to read it. Seeing the news today that audio events are pivoting a bit on LinkedIn, and knowing that this has been my main where for prospecting so far, do you think it's possible to double down on live events, or should I focus on my LinkedIn prospecting attention on my other wares? Okay, so in the future, anybody who writes a question here, if you're not live, I can't ask you more things about it. So let's be concise about them. But here's what I think you're asking me, okay? And I hope I get this right, Shell. It sounds like, okay, you prospect in live events, okay? Because you help people with engaging on LinkedIn. So what happens is now these live events have been, from my understanding, merged with audio events. And you have these 2 different things, okay? Here's anytime you're going to pivot, okay, and you're going to do something different than what you're doing, you have to find extra time for that. And here's why you have to find extra time. If you go away from the thing that's working, okay, you don't know if the new thing will work. So what happens is if you're now going to give 80% to the main thing and 20% to this other thing, or 50-50, well, until that second thing works, you may be cannibalizing your own business. You may be losing revenue. So if you have extra time to do this new thing, then absolutely. When Tom and I created this business, we both had other full revenue streams, and we created this as extra time. And as this went on, we added things with extra time. And as they started to fulfill revenue-wise what we needed, Tom was able to retire. I was able to minimize how much I'm spending time in my business and hire people to do that. And now I'm even selling my businesses. But this was a 4-year thing that we had to go through. It wasn't just like, hey, I'm going to pivot and do all this today. So the answer to your question is, or actually my question to your question is, do you have extra time? All right, Tom, we got 6 more minutes. You have another one?
Yeah. We have another question. This came in from Oforma. I just put it in the chat, so we could pull it on the screen. It'll come up as me probably. How do you follow up when you send a DM to someone you consider your ideal client prospect after casually introducing yourself, and what do you do but they don't respond?
Okay. So first of all, it depends what you're sending them, okay? And we've talked about this a lot of ways in Power Hours. You could simply just send them who you are and what you do, okay? If you just send them who you are and what you do. I'm Adam, I'm a business coach. If I just send that to somebody and they don't respond, they're not going to respond, okay? But most people are going to be like, "Why the hell are you telling me this?" Okay? They're going to be like, "Very good for you. I'm super interested. That's great. I'm not interested." Or they're going to be like, "Okay, that's cool. I do this." There's typically, when you're that weird of just saying who you are and what you do, there's going to be a response. And then you take it from there. Okay. Now, if there's absolutely nothing whatsoever, or if you're going overboard and really, if you're really going to give them a detailed message, then in that detailed message, you have to give them a reason to speak with you. If you're not giving them a reason to speak with you, they're not going to speak. And I'm going to give you an example. Okay. I'm going to pull something up. I'm not going to share it on the screen because there's probably too much data in here and names and everything else. I had a gentleman today, and I won't mention his name. He DM'd me. I'm just pulling this up and filibustering a little bit. So he DM'd me and he wanted to connect with me. And I'm going to read out what he wrote here. Let's see, where is he? Here he is. His name's James. I won't give his last name. And he said, "Hi, Adam. I see you're a founder of a coaching company. I'd love to connect." You know what that means to me? I want to sell you my shit.
Exactly.
Okay. He didn't give me a reason to talk to him. So I responded, kind of random, no? And he responded, "Perhaps a little. Also, it's slightly awkward feeling for me when I'm trying to network online, a little like when I wave back enthusiastically at someone who only to realize they were waving at a person behind you." I said, "Haha, that's actually funny and relatable." Okay? He gave me a reason to engage.
Yep.
He gave me a little something quirky. And then I said, "So what I mean is, you don't seem like the kind of guy that just wants to randomly connect or randomly wave at someone across the street. There must be some reason you actually want to connect. So let's go back to the start." I gave him an opportunity to give me a reason. He said, "I'm trying to network. In my 20 years of being in marketing, the biggest asset in any business person can have, in my opinion, is a strong network. Now that can lead to connection." And he went on and on and on and on and on. And he said, "What made you accept my connection request?" And I said, "I would agree with you. And that's why I haven't accepted the connection request yet. I'm so protective of my network. I'm simply just having a conversation with you before I accept. And typically the way I determine if I should let someone into my network or if I should become a part of their network is if there's any reason to do so, or it's just another person I'm going to steal their time or they're going to steal mine." What I'm telling you to do, Oforma, I practice.
Yep.
Okay, I don't tell any of you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. This gentleman didn't give me any reason to talk to him, and I gave him 4 chances. And where did we end this off at? I connected with him, and I said, "Nice, pal," because he gave me some really good reasons then. He told me what he did and da-da-da, and why he would want to talk to me, and I'm like, okay. And I said, "Nice, pal. Well, you seem like an interesting enough character, so I've connected. Let's see where this goes."
Yeah. It's, it's the uniqueness of the responses sometimes. It's all that stuff that you experience. But I want to point out something that Christy mentioned in the chat that I think is also very important. You have to be very intentional to who you're DMing. And what Christy was saying is if they're not active, they're not going to respond. So you really need to check people's activity on LinkedIn before you message them, because if they're not active, they're not going to respond, and you're going to get, as she referred to it, as blanked, right? You're not going to get that response. So I again, this comes back to what was the reason that you reached out to them to start with. If they were an ideal client, great. But I think you have to go that step further, especially on social media platforms, checking their level of activity, checking how engaged they are. Do they comment on people's posts? Because if they're not very active on the platform, then they're most likely not going to respond to the DM, and you're going to wind up chasing somebody and wasting energy that could have been directed to someone who engages, someone who is active every day. So make sure you're checking those things as well, so that you don't waste your time prospecting someone that is never going to answer you anyway.
Nice, Tom. Now I'm going to give you one more thing, Oforma, is you're talking about your ICP. Okay. You have not yet gotten to month 2 of Project 2740. When you do, I am going to show you that your ICP is only the beginning. Now, I'm going to tell each and every one of you this. We have our ICP. So, Carson, what's an ICP? Explain to everybody.
Ideal client persona.
What does that really mean?
It means somebody that you would like to buy from you.
Great. Thank you. And I knew you'd know this because of the industry you're in. Okay. So this is like they have a name, they have a demographic, they have an age, they have their pain points. That's what an ICP is. Okay. That's great. It's a model of who you work with. That model comes from your target market. So you have a target market, this model of who you work with. Inside of your target market, you're looking for that model. And then what you'll learn in month 2 and what everybody in Project 2740 learns is how to prospect now. What we do is we're looking at each and every one of those to see if they qualify or disqualify to become a prospect that we're going to engage with. So what you may be doing, and I'm not sure of this yet, Oforma, but what you may be doing is engaging with people that are disqualified already. And one of the key things, if you're going to engage on LinkedIn, is activity. Okay, we have many people go in, and I do this myself. When I identify someone, I'm like, I think this is a prospect. The first thing that I'm really going through and doing is looking at when's the last time they commented, posted, created a video. I'm looking at all these things. For us at Project 2740, I want to see if they're really committed to their business or they're just interested in it. And if someone posts 4 months ago, they're just interested in it. Okay, so you're going to have to understand that as well. All right, Tom, we got to wrap up here and move into the next session. So for those of you who don't know, we have a whole nother private half an hour that we do in Q&A with our Project 2740 members. So feel free to check us out at Atomic Business Coaching. And inside of there, you can find Project 2740 or just go to atomicbusinesscoaching.com/Project 2740. Thanks, gentlemen. Tommy, Carson, appreciate you guys being on here. And Tom, see you in a few seconds.
See you in a few.